Okay, I think we're live. Pretty sure in Florida and Boynton Beach here for showers. Nice and toasty down here. And we have an interesting idea in the parsha that the Tamid. We literally have all the karbanos. Not all I take that back. We have the musafim. The musafim are literally smack in the middle of Pinchas, where the Ma'aseh Pinchas is Zimri. We have Chalukah of Eretz Yisrael. We have karbanos of Musafim. Why is it here? Theoretically, you think Karbanos, you're thinking a Yikra. But every time there's a Musaf or Chodesh, gotta flip ahead, gotta find the Torah with Bamidbar. And it's Pesach rolls around, laning, the Maftir, gotta flip to Bamidbar. So every time we have two Torahs going around, we have Chag, and then we flip to the Musaf, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, always in Pinchas. So why is it here? What's the kesher? What's happening here in Pinchas? And Rabbi Shemesh really speaks this out in a couple different ways. Is that this is the 3 weeks, and then the Chachamim, Eskadola, we're talking the weeks and the parshas. Parshas Pinchas falls out beginning of the 3 weeks. The first parsha, 3 weeks, is Pinchas, and really we have to kind of think about the 3 weeks as we're leading up, unfortunately, to Tisha B'Av, first Shivas B'Tammuz, and the first we start with the Tamid. The Tamid rolls around, and even though we kind of laned, we talk about this every Chodesh. The Tamid is there, and Shabbos is there, and Rosh Chodesh is there, but the first one is the Tamid, and the Tamid was really underrated. It's really an underrated. There's no reason for it. Apparently, everything has a reason. Chatas is a chait. Toda is a thank you. Tamid's just there. There's no real. You could say it starts everything off, but not really. Trumas Hadeshin really starts off the avoda. Then the Tamid works around. You have the Ketores. The Tamid's there in the beginning, there at the end. And it's one small animal, it's one little lamb. But there's really a lot of Torah around the Tamid. The Tamid was there literally every day. The Carbon Tamid talks about consistency. A lot of people like to speak about this at Bar Mitzvahs and Bar Torahs, like Ed Silver years ago. Tamid is consistency. Bar Mitzvah boy, it's consistent every day. We talk about that you learn Torah every day. MDY, Stefansky talks about the Daf Yomis every day. So whether big carbon, small carbon, the point is doing something every day is a big deal. The Gemara talks about that the Tamid of the morning was Mechaper at night of Eros. And then the evening Tamid was Mechaper on the day of Eros. So there was some kind of the Gemara talks about there was some kind of kapara, a general kapara. People in Shrine didn't have any sins. But really, it's really consistency. And the Gemara says that literally the stoppage of the Tamid caused the walls to break down. The Gemara says that they brought the bringing the animals when they sieged the city. They used to bring the animals up the side of the walls. And one day they found out what's happening, and they put a pig instead of it. And the pig hit the walls, and the wall shook. And that was the point. The day that the Tamid stops is the day the walls break and things start to go south on us. And that's literally a lot of times we have this. We have a certain pattern in our lives, whether it's Torah, whether it's work, whatever it is, going to the gym. One day you stop and it's hard to get back on that track. And perhaps that's really kind of what led up to this. When people all of a sudden didn't have the Tamid, the walls start shaking. That signified just a stoppage of Nutak, really a breakage, unfortunately, between them and Hashem. Then miracles were going to stop, and 3 weeks later, you have the Churban, and here we are today. But the Rabbi Shemesh has another interesting idea, is when he kind of puts this together with the Moadim. So we talk about the Tamid, but besides the Tamid, the other Kabbanis are here also. You have Sukkot, you have Yom Kippur, Pesach we talked about, and Shmini Atzeres. And Marva Shemesh says you have 3 weeks, and you also have 21 days in Tishrei, from beginning of Tishrei till Shana Rabbah till Shmini Atzeres is 21 days. And this connected this. The feeling and the shefa that we feel and the 21 days in Tishrei is supposed to really carry over, and we draw from it in these 3 weeks. And think about it. You know, you know the 3 weeks where we have an Indian of Achdus. We have people davening together. We're all machaber each other. We all wear white clothing. We're all in shul together. We're davening, praying for each other, machal each other. And we go to Sukkot. We're inviting people. We're all together. Simchas Torah, we're all dancing together. That idea, and even more than that, we brought 70 Purim over Sukkot, as we'll see in the laning tomorrow. Uh, each day of the Sukkot was a different par. All the Purim of the Sukkot, the Musaf, equals 70. Literally, we were davening for the 70 nations. Think about it. We were davening for the other nations. The nations, they can't stand us, except for the Druze, I guess, for a few minutes. But at one point, long ago, unfortunately, we had korbanos for signified to bring shefa for the other nations. So the first 21 days of the year in Tishrei signifies this collectiveness and a happiness to go to the Beis Hamikdash, daven with people. And here we are, these 3 weeks, we have the opposite. We have a deal. We have no Beis Hamikdash. We're alone. We don't have a single place to pray. We're all over the place. So it's opposite effect we have. And the Maarish Shemer says the 21 days is supposed to bring hashpah onto these 3 weeks. If we turn these 3 weeks into a makaba, into a kli, if we actually try to draw the idea that we're missing the Beis Hamikdash, we want, and Maarish Shemer says supposed to daven harder these 3 weeks, supposed to learn Torah better these 3 weeks, to kind of now turn these 3 weeks into a makabo, that we can actually get the shefa from the 3 weeks back in Tishrei. And if we do that, if we actually turn these 3 weeks into not just a cappella music, not the end of the world, we still got baseball. No, these 3 weeks we're supposed to really feel it. And tomorrow laning, we're supposed to really kind of, boy, we don't have these korbanos, and we don't have this sense of togetherness. We have to really try to work for that. Maybe that can bring a tikkun, and that would definitely change our approach to 3 weeks. That's kind of what we're trying to do, really. And towards the end of the parsha, Maarish Shemer has another idea that I think also has to do with kli. He actually used the word keli. Is that there's also a handoff with Moshe to Yeshua, and there's two analogies that we actually have. One is one candle to another candle. Okay, so Moshe to Yeshua, you light candle, but the first candle actually doesn't take away. So you can actually light a candle, and then the second candle is lit, the first candle is still there. So that's fantastic. The second analogy, the mushal, is pouring to another keli. One keli to another keli. So you have one pour to another keli. So how's that? Say mushal? No, it's a little bit different, because the second mushal, keli to a keli, there could be some spillage. Also, there's a little bit left in the keli. Sometimes you don't have to pour. You can't pour 100%. Something spills over. So Maarish Shemer says, when you actually pour one to another, you have to prepare the first keli to pour over the right way, and the second keli has to really be under it in a certain way, and there's a connection. There's no real kesher to one nair to another nair, but as far as a keli to another keli, you have to work on that, and a leader just can't appoint a leader. When you appoint another leader, you have to kind of talk a certain way, connect a certain way, have this meeting of the minds. And perhaps this is the other kesher with as far as keli to a keli. Just like we want these 3 weeks as to prepare to get the shefa from 3 weeks of Tishrei, so too Moshe and Yeshua. Moshe had to now prepare to give over how to lead the people. Moshe had to prepare how to tell Yeshua. Unfortunately, Moshe's Moshe, but people sinned in Moshe's times. And the Gemara says that people did not sin in Yeshua's times, even though Moshe was a higher level. And the idea is that people, Moshe was the sun, you can't look at the sun. Yeshua was the moon, you could look at the moon. and you have to kind of relate to your leader. That's the idea, second idea, as far as this preparing of a keli to a keli. And just like Moshe prepared to give over the shefa and the ruach and the leadership to Yeshua to lead the people, so too here in our 3 weeks, we have to kind of think of a way to improve our 3 weeks, our approach, how to be more welcoming, how to daven better, how to learn a little bit better, a little stronger. This way we can kind of accept the shefa of the 3 weeks in Tishrei, and hopefully we don't get to see Tisha B'Av in a bad way. We get to see Tisha B'Av in a good way, without with Mashiach, with the new Beis Hamikdash. And with that, Shabbat Shalom from Boynton Beach.